Hands together.
What is the charge?
Talking back.
That is not a crime.
Stop arguing.
State the lawful reason.
You heard him.
She didn't touch anyone. I need one phone call.
You'll wait.
The rehabilitation center is calling. My mother is waiting.
Everyone says it's urgent.
Sergeant, we can verify the call.
Stay out of it.
Keep your camera recording.
Lee.
She asked us to check her identification.
Not yet. Open it under the camera.
You don't give orders here.
Then document your refusal.
Keep it flat.
You concealed your position.
I gave you my name.
This credential could be fake.
The state seal is embossed.
Office of the Commissioner.
We need identity verification.
Why?
She is being detained. Do not alter any recording.
This is a misunderstanding.
Where is she? Open that door! Chief, we were resolving it. She never identified herself. Remove the cuffs now. Preserve every file first.
All personnel, attention! Salute!
She's the commissioner. Ma'am, I'm sorry.
Keep the recording. Not yet. Lower your hands.
Cold metal snapped around her wrists as the desk officer said, "You're being detained for talking back." The black woman did not resist. She only looked at the wall clock, then at the rain soaking the leather folder beside her. Why was she more afraid of missing one phone call than of the handcuffs? Why did the rookie officer suddenly go pale when he saw the seal inside that folder? And why, minutes later, did every conversation in the station stop at once? Before the night was over, the same people who mocked her would stand at attention, but the truth behind that salute would cost more than anyone expected. Stay to the end, because the badge they ignored was only the beginning. The outer doors slammed open, driving rain across the lobby tiles. "Commissioner's detail," someone called. The printer stopped. Evelyn Cross sat behind the holding room glass, wrists cuffed in front of her, navy coat dark at the shoulders. A drop gathered at the hem and struck the floor. No one moved. Chief Dana Mercer entered with Simone Park and two officials. Her gaze swept over the evidence bags, the rookie by the camera dock, then fixed on Evelyn. "Open that door." Sergeant Victor Hale hurried from his office. "Chief, we have a disruptive subject under temporary detention." Dana turned. "You have who?" Officer Nolan Price stood at the property counter, pen pressed to an unfinished form. "She refused lawful instructions," he said. "She interfered with another complainant." Simone's voice stayed level. "Take the cuffs off the Commissioner of Virginia Public Safety. Now." Price blinked. "The Commissioner?" A chair scraped inside dispatch. Evelyn watched the clock. 6:58 p.m. Her mother would already be seated beneath the covered plaque, Samuel Reed's watch in her hand, waiting for a daughter who had promised to arrive before 7. Dana entered the code herself. The lock released with metallic buzz. "Commissioner Cross, I am deeply— Remove the cuffs first." Caleb Morris stepped forward with the key. His fingers missed the lock once. "I'm sorry, ma'am." "Keep the recording," Evelyn said. He looked up. "That is the first thing you can still do right." The cuffs opened and struck the bench. Evelyn stood without rubbing her wrists. She smoothed the cream blouse caught beneath her watch and reached toward the worn leather folder sealed in plastic. Hale moved closer. She never identified herself. "I identified myself as a citizen asking you to take a report." At the far end of the lobby, Wesley Grant held his torn, damp waiting ticket. "Mr. Grant," Evelyn called, "has anyone written down what happened?" The veteran shook his head. Dana faced Price. "Take his statement." "No," Evelyn said. Price stopped. Not him. Rain rattled the windows. A fluorescent tube hummed above the desk. Simone placed a folded document on the counter. "The delegation was delayed at the flooded underpass," she said. "We called 6 times." Evelyn looked toward her phone inside an evidence bag. 3 missed calls glowed beneath the rehabilitation center's name. Dana followed her gaze. "Your mother?" The clock clicked to 6:59. She was waiting for me. Arthur Bell stood beside his cleaning cart, hands around the mop handle. Above him, taped crookedly to the bulletin board, hung the ceremony notice with Evelyn's photograph. Simone saw it. Dana saw it. Hale saw it last. Dana stepped into the center of the lobby. "All personnel, attention!" Officers rose from desks and doorways. Caleb straightened beside Evelyn. Lena Ortiz emerged from dispatch, one hand over her headset microphone. Price stood rigid, his unfinished form beneath his palm. Dana faced Evelyn and raised her hand in salute. One by one, the station followed. Evelyn looked past them to Wesley, still holding the torn number, then back to the clock. 74 minutes earlier, it had read 5:45, and no one inside the building had known her name. At 5:45 p.m., Evelyn turned the paper cup so its handle faced her mother. "You always do that," Lillian Reed said. "Do what?" "Make things easier to reach and pretend nobody noticed." Rain tapped the rehabilitation center window. Lillian sat beneath a gray blanket, her hand curled around Samuel Reed's watch. Evelyn removed her damp navy coat. "How was therapy?" "Cruel." "That means useful." "That means the therapist enjoys counting." Lillian raised 2 fingers, then a third. Evelyn did not help. 4, Lillian said. "You skipped one." "I retired from unnecessary numbers." A program on the bedside table announced the opening of the Samuel Reed Training Hall at 7. Beneath the title was a photograph of Evelyn's father in uniform. "He hated that picture," Lillian said. "He chose it. He thought it made him look taller." "It did." The radiator hissed. "Is it Thursday?" Lillian asked. "Friday, October 16th. "The ceremony is tonight?" "Yes." "You'll be there before they uncover the plaque?" Evelyn checked her wristwatch. She planned to inspect the Briar Glen station before the delegation arrived, then drive 4 blocks to the hall. "I'll be there by 7. "That is not what I asked." "I'll be there before the plaque." Lillian studied her face. "Your father waited 32 years for that room." "I know." "He waited longer for them to say his name without lowering their voices." "Tonight they'll say it into microphones." "And tomorrow?" A cart rolled past the door, wheels squeaking over the floor seam. Evelyn lifted the worn leather folder. "I'm reviewing intake procedures before the ceremony." "Without an escort?" "Without an announcement." "Samuel called that walking into a storm without a hat." "He did it too." "He was stubborn." "So am I." "No." Lillian pushed the watch toward her. "You are quieter. That worries me more." The leather strap was cracked. The second hand had stopped between 6 and 7, where it had rested since Samuel's final morning. "Keep it with you," Lillian said. "You always bring it. Tonight you bring him." Evelyn closed her fingers around the watch. The glass was cool, its edge worn smooth. A nurse appeared with Lillian's phone. "Your ride confirmed for 6:40. Lillian nodded. "And my daughter confirmed for 7. The nurse looked at Evelyn. "Confirmed." Lillian caught Evelyn's sleeve before she turned. The grip was weak, but it stopped her. "If something delays you, call me." "I will." "Don't send an assistant." "I won't." "Don't let them tell me you're in a meeting." Evelyn crouched until they were eye level. "I will call you myself." Only then did Lillian release the fabric. At the elevator, Evelyn slipped the stopped watch into her inner coat pocket beside her identification. The doors began to close. "Evelyn," Lillian called. She pressed the open button. Your father never needed a title to deserve respect. The elevator chimed. Evelyn held her mother's gaze until the doors met. Outside, cold rain streaked the parking lot lights. She buttoned her coat, tucked the folder under one arm, and walked toward the sedan, while the watch rested silent against her chest. Across town, the station clock was moving towards 6. At 6:03 p.m., Evelyn pushed through the station doors with rain ticking from her coat. The lobby smelled of wet wool, burnt coffee, and floor cleaner. Fluorescent light flickered above the desk. Behind it, Officer Nolan Price chewed mint gum and typed with 2 fingers, while 3 visitors waited in chairs. Evelyn set the worn leather folder on the counter. Good evening. Price kept typing. I need the name of the officer handling public intake. His jaw worked once. The gum cracked. You're looking at him. What is your name? He glanced at her coat, then the folder. Why? So I know who I'm speaking with. You can read the badge. It was turned sideways beneath his radio cord. I'd rather hear you say it. Price stopped typing. Nolan Price. Thank you, Officer Price. She placed both hands beside the folder. A printer coughed out a page. Behind the security door, a phone rang 4 times, then stopped. What can I do for you? Price asked. I'm expected upstairs later. Until then, I'd like to observe the public intake area. Observe for who? For myself. This isn't a museum. No, it's a public building. Price leaned back. His chair squealed across the tile. Behind a glass partition, Sergeant Victor Hale looked up from a paper cup. He had close-cropped gray hair and turned a silver wedding band with his thumb. He watched Evelyn, then returned to his reports. Price tapped the folder. What's in there? Documents. What kind? The kind that remain mine until there is a lawful reason to inspect them. The gum cracked again. A woman near the chairs lowered her phone. An older man in a rain-darkened cap stared at the ticket dispenser as if it had failed him. Price pointed toward the seats. If you're waiting for somebody, sit down. I asked whether visitors are required to sign in. You were told to sit. No, I was instructed to sit without an answer. Hale looked up again. Price stood. He was younger than his voice suggested, perhaps 32, with a clean uniform and a coffee stain near one cuff. Ma'am, I decide how this lobby runs. Evelyn glanced at the empty sign-in sheet. Then I'm asking how you've decided it runs. The printer stopped. The quiet widened the room. Hale opened the glass door halfway. Warm air and stale coffee drifted out. Problem, Price? Visitor wants to supervise intake. I asked a procedural question, Evelyn said. Hale studied her without recognition. And you are? Evelyn Cross. He waited for more. She gave him none. Do you have an appointment? At 7? Then come back at 7. My appointment is not with this desk. Price folded his arms. There, settled. Evelyn reached for the folder. Price placed 2 fingers on its corner before she could lift it. Leave that where I can see it. She looked at his hand. He removed it. Officer Price, she said, is that a request or an order? Hale's wedding band stopped turning. Rain rattled against the windows. The older man in the cap rose, clutching a damp, numbered ticket, and approached the counter. I was here first, he said. Price did not look away from Evelyn. Then wait your turn. The man's fingers began to shake, and Evelyn shifted half a step toward him. I was here first, the older man repeated. Price kept his eyes on Evelyn. Sir, sit down. His damp ticket had blurred into a blue stain. What happened? Evelyn asked. My medicine is gone. My bank card, too. His voice rasped beneath the fluorescent hum. I think somebody took them at the boarding house. Price sighed. You said you misplaced them. I said I couldn't find them. That means misplaced. Your name? Evelyn asked. Wesley Grant. When did you last use the card? Coffee at 6:20. Price slapped a form onto the desk. Stop interviewing him. I'm helping him give you a timeline. You're interfering. A young officer entered through the security door with 2 file boxes. His nameplate read, Morris. Wesley pulled a pharmacy receipt from his coat. My refill was in the same envelope. Call the bank, Price said. I did. They asked for a report number. And I told you we can't report something you probably lost. The gum cracked. Evelyn turned to the young officer. Officer Morris, does this station require proof before accepting a complaint? Caleb shifted the boxes. We usually document the statement first. Price's chair scraped across the tile. Nobody asked you. Caleb set the boxes down, but stayed. From dispatch, Lena Ortiz pushed back one side of her headset. Nolan, I can enter the card as missing while you take the preliminary. Stay on your console. Radio static burst through the lobby. Wesley flinched, and the receipt fell near Evelyn's shoe. She laid it flat on the counter. The card digits and pharmacy time are here. You have enough to begin. Price pushed it back. You don't tell me what I have. No, your procedure does. A woman in the waiting area raised her phone. Price pointed. Put that away. I'm checking the time. Check it outside. Evelyn's voice stayed low. Why would a clock require privacy? Hale's office door opened. Price leaned closer. This man is confused, and you're making it worse. Wesley straightened. I served 22 years. I know what was in my wallet. His thumb rubbed the ticket until it tore. One half dropped onto the counter. He stared at it, then folded the other half around nothing. No one spoke. Evelyn slid the complaint form toward Price. Write his name. Price pushed it back. Sit down, Mr. Grant. Caleb stepped closer. I can take the statement. You can return those files. Caleb glanced at his body camera. I heard him ask for a report. Hale entered, adjusting his cuff. What am I walking into? She's disrupting intake and directing personnel. Evelyn faced Hale. Mr. Grant reported missing medication and a bank card. Your officer refused to document either. Everyone lower your devices. Now. A cleaning cart squeaked near the hallway and stopped. Hale came around the counter. Coffee cut through the smell of wet coats. You need to step away from my desk. Will someone take his report? That is not your concern. It became my concern when nobody else answered him. Hale's wedding band turned beneath his thumb. Behind him, Caleb's camera light kept blinking. Last warning, Hale said. Evelyn looked at Wesley, still holding half a number. Call your shift commander. Call your shift commander. Hale let the words hang. The fluorescent tube buzzed while rain hissed against the windows. I am the shift commander. Then take responsibility for the desk. Evelyn kept one hand beside the complaint form. I'm asking you to follow your intake procedure. Hale stepped closer. You are interfering with an officer, directing staff, and agitating a vulnerable man. Wesley raised his head. She's the only one who listened. Mr. Grant, sit down. I've been sitting 40 minutes. Caleb shifted beside the file boxes. Sergeant, I can take his statement. Did I assign you? No, sir. Then stop volunteering. Caleb's body camera kept blinking. Evelyn nodded toward it. Keep that running. A cleaning wheel squeaked in the corridor. Arthur Bell stood beside his cart. His gaze moved from Evelyn to a cream invitation on the bulletin board. Samuel Reed Training Hall. Dedication, 7 p.m. Below it was Evelyn's photograph. Arthur looked back at the woman in the navy coat. His hand closed around the mop handle. Hale noticed. Arthur, hallway. Arthur's fingers tightened until the knuckles went white. Right away, he said, but the cart did not move. Price came around the counter. Step back. After Mr. Grant receives a report number. You don't set conditions here. No, the law does. Hale drew a slow breath. You have been asked to stop disrupting this lobby. By requesting service? By refusing instructions. Evelyn checked the clock. 6:17 p.m. 43 minutes remained before the plaque was uncovered. My instruction was to sit. What lawful purpose did that serve? Price stopped 2 feet from her. Cold air followed him through the security door. Move away from the counter. She took one measured step back. There. Now take his statement. For half a second, Hale's eyes dropped to the invitation. Arthur saw it. So did Caleb. Then Hale shifted, blocking Evelyn's view of the photograph. Mr. Grant can return tomorrow. My medicine is for tonight, Wesley said. Contact your provider. They're closed. That is not a police emergency. Wesley's torn ticket slipped from his hand. Arthur bent to pick it up. Leave it, Hale said. Arthur straightened. The wet paper stayed between the mop wheels. Evelyn lowered her voice. One bank call and a preliminary report would take less time than this argument. This argument exists because you will not leave. Are you ordering me out? I'm ordering you to stop challenging my officers. That is not the same thing. Price stepped closer. You can't help yourself, can you? From what? Having the last word. The printer pushed out a blank property form. Hale snatched it up. Document her refusal. Caleb frowned. Refusal to do what? Follow a lawful direction. Arthur pushed his cart toward the hallway. The wheels squealed, then stopped beneath the ceremony photograph. He looked back at Evelyn. She saw recognition in his face. He opened his mouth. Price pointed toward the chairs. Last chance. Sit down and stay quiet. Arthur lowered his eyes. The wooden handle creaked inside his grip. No, Evelyn said. Not while you refuse him service. Price reached for the handcuffs on his belt. Price drew the cuffs from his belt. The chain made a small metallic click. Hands behind your back. Evelyn did not move. For what offense? Failure to obey. Which lawful order? Price's jaw tightened. Turn around. Wesley stepped away from the counter. She didn't do anything. Hale raised a palm. Mr. Grant, stay out of this. I asked for help. She helped. The woman near the chairs lowered her phone. Caleb stood beside the file boxes, shoulders rigid. Sergeant, he said, we should identify the charge first. Your assignment is over there. The heating vent blew lukewarm air across Evelyn's damp coat. Mint from Price's gum mixed with burnt coffee. Officer Price, I stepped away from the desk. I threatened no one. I blocked no access. You kept talking. That is not an offense. Price reached for her wrist. Evelyn let her arms hang at her sides. Is your camera recording? His eyes flicked down. Caleb answered. Mine is. The lobby seemed to narrow around the blinking red light. Turn around, Price repeated. Evelyn faced the counter and placed her leather folder beside the blank property form. Do not open that without documenting it. Price pulled her right arm back. The cold edge of the cuff caught the cream blouse at her wrist and pinched the fabric into her skin. Arthur's mop handle struck the cart with a hollow knock. Hale spoke toward Caleb. Record obstruction and refusal. Caleb did not move. What did she obstruct? An active intake. There wasn't an intake, Wesley said. He refused it. Price secured the second cuff. You're being detained for talking back and refusing instructions. The woman by the chairs inhaled sharply. Evelyn looked at the clock. 6:21. 4 minutes had passed since Arthur recognized her. She turned enough to see him staring at the ceremony notice. His fingers would not loosen around the wooden handle. Please take Mr. Grant's statement, Evelyn said. Price gave a short laugh. Still giving orders? No, making a request. Hale lifted her phone after it vibrated inside her coat pocket. The screen showed, Ceremony. Leave now. He slid it into a clear property bag. I need one call. You'll get one after processing. The call is time-sensitive. Everyone says that. The bag crackled as he sealed it. Her phone lit again. Lillian Reed, Rehabilitation Center. Hale turned the screen face down. For the first time, Evelyn's shoulders shifted. Barely. Caleb saw it. Sergeant, we can let her answer. No. Wesley moved forward. At least tell her mother. Price guided Evelyn toward the security door. Sit down before you join her. The door released with a harsh buzz. Cold air rolled from the corridor. Evelyn stopped at the threshold. Hale? He looked up. Preserve every recording from this lobby. His mouth tightened. Keep moving. Caleb touched his camera only to check the indicator. Still red. As Price led her through, Evelyn glanced once at the clock, once at the sealed phone, and once at the torn ticket beneath Arthur's cart. The security door began to close. Arthur finally whispered, I know who she is. The lock caught before anyone answered. The metal door slammed behind Evelyn, and the vibration climbed through her shoes. Price unlocked a second gate. Bench. The holding room was narrow, with a window facing processing. Cold air leaked from a ceiling vent. The steel bench bit through her damp coat. Remove the cuffs, Evelyn said. You're being processed. For what charge? Obstruction. You called it failure to obey. Same conduct. No, different allegation. Hale entered with the sealed phone and leather folder. Property first. My identification is inside the inner pocket. We'll inventory it when we're ready. Turn on the camera before you open it. Hale tapped the ceiling. Room is recorded. That does not document a search. Price frowned. You always talk like this? Only when words change. Caleb appeared with the file boxes. Sergeant, the arrest form needs a statutory code. This is a detention, Hale said. Then release or charge her within the hour. Hale's wedding band turned. Put the boxes away. Caleb's body camera stayed red. Evelyn raised her cuffed hands. Officer Morris, note the time. Don't address him, Price snapped. 6:27, Caleb said. Outside, Hale ordered. Caleb left, glancing at the camera dock. Price began typing. The keys sounded too loud. State your address. I will provide identification once the search is recorded. Why am I being held? You disrupted intake. Mr. Grant had no intake to disrupt. Price erased a line. You challenged an officer in front of civilians. That is not a crime. You refused to stop. I stepped back when ordered. The vent clicked off. Silence pressed against the glass. Hale lifted the folder. Who are you meeting at 7? Someone who has waited long enough. Name? No. Then you can wait too. He carried the phone and folder into the property room. Evelyn rose. Do not separate my identification from that folder. The outer door closed. Again, the vibration traveled through her feet, smaller now, as if the building had swallowed something. Price glanced up. Sit. She sat. Through the glass, Wesley remained near the lobby entrance. Arthur had moved his cart, but the torn half of Wesley's ticket rested beside Caleb's boxes. Lena stepped from dispatch and spoke to Caleb. Evelyn caught only the final words. Save your copy. Price looked over. Save what? Routine upload, Caleb said. Do it later. The dock clears after shift sync, Hale returned. Then sync it. Caleb looked through the glass at Evelyn. I already did. Hale stopped turning his ring. A phone began ringing inside the property room. Muffled, insistent, then quiet. Evelyn stood so fast the cuffs struck steel. That is mine. Hale blocked the doorway. Processing first. It may be the rehabilitation center. You'll get your call. When? When we finish. The phone rang again. Each pulse passed through the wall, thin but unmistakable. Evelyn pressed her thumb against the cracked strap of Samuel's stopped watch inside her coat. Price reached for another form. Sit down. She did, because dignity was the only thing in the room they had not bagged and labeled. The ringing stopped. Beyond the wall, a red message light began blinking. The red message light blinked behind the property room glass. Evelyn watched it pulse twice before Hale turned the phone face down. I asked for one call. You'll get it after processing. You said that 10 minutes ago. Price kept typing. Then stop delaying us. Cold air leaked from the vent. Water from Evelyn's coat had gathered beneath the bench, touching her shoe. In dispatch, a radio clicked through broken addresses. Lena appeared at the property room door. Sergeant, the caller left a voicemail. Not our concern. The screen says rehabilitation center. Hale's jaw tightened. Back to dispatch. Evelyn stood. The cuffs scraped steel. Tell me whether my mother is safe. Price looked up. Sit down, Hale said. Is she safe? The question came out quieter than the buzzing light. Caleb stood beside the camera dock, one hand near the saved upload indicator. We can verify welfare without releasing evidence. Hale stared at him. You're very interested in procedure tonight. I'm interested in the record. Hale entered the property room. Plastic bags crackled. He returned with the phone held beyond Evelyn's reach. One message, no callback. He pressed play. A nurse's thin voice filled the corridor. Ms. Cross, this is Briar Glen Rehabilitation. Your mother is dressed and waiting in the lobby. She keeps asking whether you're coming before the dedication. Please call us. Then Lillian's voice sounded farther away. Tell her I saved the front seat. The message ended. The radio hissed into the still corridor. Evelyn sat. Inside her coat, Samuel's watch pressed into her palm. She squeezed until the cracked strap left a red line across her skin. Price cleared his throat. "We still need your address." "You heard her." "That doesn't change the process. It should change you." He returned to the keyboard. Through the glass, Wesley remained near the lobby entrance. Arthur stood beneath the ceremony notice, his mop untouched. When Evelyn met his eyes, he moved toward the security door. "I need to say something," Arthur called. Hale stepped out. "Not now." "I know her." Price's fingers stopped. Arthur pointed toward the notice. "That's the woman in the picture." Hale followed his hand. "You're mistaken." "I'm not." Caleb pulled the cream invitation from the board. Rain-stained fingerprints marked one corner. He compared the photograph with Evelyn behind the glass. Lena whispered, "It is her." Hale took the page. "A public flyer proves nothing." "The name does," Caleb said. Price rolled back from the desk. "Evelyn Cross." "Finish the paperwork," Hale ordered. Caleb stayed beside the board. "She said her identification was in the folder. We inventory property in order." "What order?" "The one I give." The red mark from the watch strap crossed Evelyn's palm. "Officer Morris," she said, "don't argue with him." Caleb looked through the glass. "Preserve the recording. Preserve the property seal. Let the documents answer." Hale lifted the worn folder from the shelf. Rain had darkened its edges. "You want documents?" he said. He set it beneath the white property room lamp. The clasp resisted, then opened with a click. Inside, a gold seal caught the light. The gold seal flashed beneath the property room lamp. Hale froze with one hand on the open folder. Caleb stepped closer. "Don't touch anything else." Price rose. "What is it?" Lena read through the glass. "Commonwealth of Virginia." Hale pulled the document halfway free. "Camera," Evelyn said. Caleb tapped his body unit. "Recording. Place it flat." Hale's eyes crossed the page. His thumb stopped on the embossed seal. "Commissioner of Public Safety," Lena whispered. Price laughed once, then stopped. "That can't be real." Caleb turned the folder toward the camera. Beneath it lay a visit schedule and the dedication program with Evelyn's photograph. Arthur stood in the corridor. "I told you." Hale looked through the glass. "Why didn't you say this clearly?" "I gave you my name." "You withheld your position." "I asked for the same service any citizen should receive." Price pointed at the credential. "People print things." "Call the number," Caleb said. Hale's jaw tightened. "Nobody calls until I verify custody." "The seal was intact," Caleb replied. "The camera shows you opening it." Lena reached for the desk phone. Hale covered the receiver. "Back to dispatch." She did not move. Evelyn watched the clock turn to 6:46. 14 minutes until the plaque. The red line across her palm deepened where Samuel's strap rested. "Officer Morris, use the official directory, not any number in the folder." Caleb nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Price heard the change in his voice. "Don't ma'am her like that." Caleb dialed the state switchboard. Speaker tones cut through the vent's hum. "Office of the Commissioner," a woman answered. "This is Officer Caleb Morris, Briar Glen Police. I need to verify Commissioner Evelyn Cross's identity." A pause. "Why?" Caleb looked at the cuffs around Evelyn's wrists. "She is being detained." The line went quiet. Rain struck the windows. "State your badge number," the woman said. Caleb gave it. "Do not disconnect. Do not alter any recording. Chief Mercer and Ms. Park are 8 minutes away." Price sat down hard. Hale reached for the phone. "This is Sergeant Hale. There has been a misunderstanding." No, Evelyn said. There has been a sequence of recorded decisions. The woman answered, Sergeant, preserve the scene. The call ended. Lena locked the lobby, holding room, and dispatch files against deletion. Done. Caleb photographed the open folder. Arthur placed both halves of Wesley's torn ticket beside the complaint form. This belongs in the record, too. Price stared at him. Your maintenance. Arthur met his eyes. Tonight, I'm a witness. Wesley approached the counter. Am I finally allowed to report my card? Lena pulled over a fresh form. I'll take it. Hale lowered his voice. Commissioner Cross, we can remove the cuffs before they arrive. Evelyn stood, the chain lifting between her hands. On what legal finding? Hale swallowed. No charges will be filed. That is not what I asked. The outer phone rang. Caleb answered. Chief Mercer? Yes, ma'am. He listened, then looked toward the rain-streaked doors. She's in the parking lot. Outside, headlights swept across the windows, and every face in the station turned toward the entrance. Headlights swept across the rain-streaked windows. The outer doors opened, carrying in cold air and the smell of wet pavement. Chief Dana Mercer entered first, rain silvering her uniform. Simone Park followed. Where is she? No one answered. Dana saw the open folder, then Evelyn behind the glass. Open that door. Hale stepped forward. Chief, we were just resolving. Open it. The lock buzzed. Caleb pulled the door wide. Evelyn stood with the cuffs in front of her. Simone stopped. Commissioner Cross. Price's chair rolled backward. Dana turned to him. You detained the Commissioner of Virginia Public Safety? She didn't identify herself. I gave my name, Evelyn said. Hale lifted a hand. There was confusion about her conduct. There was no confusion, Caleb said. The recording is saved. Dana looked at the red camera light. Remove the cuffs. Caleb reached for the key. His fingers slipped once against the cold steel. I'm sorry, ma'am. Keep the recording. The first cuff opened, then the second. They struck the bench with a flat clang. Evelyn rubbed neither wrist. She straightened the cream fabric pinched beneath her black watch. Simone held up the sealed phone. The rehabilitation center called again. Evelyn glanced at the clock. 6:54. Later. Your mother is still waiting. Evelyn turned toward Wesley. Has anyone taken your statement? Lena raised a half-completed form. I started it. Finish it before anything else. Dana moved beside her. Commissioner, I owe you an immediate apology. You owe him a report number, Wesley stared. You're the commissioner? Tonight, I'm the person who heard you. Price lowered his eyes. Dana stepped into the center of the lobby. The fluorescent tube above the desk flickered. All personnel, attention. Chairs scraped. Dispatch fell quiet. Arthur removed his cap. Hale straightened, his wedding ring motionless beneath his thumb. Dana faced Evelyn and raised her hand. Commissioner Evelyn Cross, retired Brigadier General. One by one, the station saluted. Price was last. The open cuffs remained on the bench behind her. Evelyn looked past the raised hands to the torn ticket beside Wesley's complaint form. Lower your hands. They did. A salute after recognition is easy, she said. What matters is how this room treats the person no one recognizes. No one answered. She crossed to the counter. Mr. Grant, tell Officer Ortiz when you last saw your medication. 6:20 at the coffee shop. Lena began writing. Evelyn faced Dana. Seal every body camera file from this shift. Preserve the dispatch log, property room footage, intake records, and original report drafts. Hale's head lifted. That seems excessive. Nothing gets deleted. Nothing gets rewritten. Simone opened her portfolio and removed a numbered evidence seal. Dana took it. Do it now. Caleb moved toward the server room. Lena saved Wesley's form. Arthur rolled his card aside, revealing the ceremony photograph. Evelyn finally accepted her phone. 5 missed calls. Before she pressed return, Hale reached toward the unfinished detention report. Dana's voice stopped him. Sergeant, step away from the desk. Sergeant, step away from the desk. Hale withdrew his hand from the detention report. The page lifted in the draft, then settled beneath Simone's palm. I was securing the file. You were touching an unfinished statement after a preservation order. Dana slid it into a clear sleeve. Morris, server room. Ortiz, lock the dispatch log. Price, stay where I can see you. Price swallowed. Am I suspended? Not yet, Simone said. Evelyn stood with her phone dark in one hand. The room smelled of wet wool and hot toner. Wesley spoke to Lena while Arthur moved his cart. Dana lowered her voice. Call your mother. Let me handle this. Evelyn looked at the cuffs. You were not here when they were closed. Caleb opened the server cabinet. Fans whirred behind green lights. My upload is here, he said. Price's camera is missing. Battery issue, Price said. Where is it? My locker. Before or after the cuffs? Evelyn asked. Price rubbed his sleeve. I don't remember. That belongs in the record. Simone called on speaker. Mara Quinn, we need an independent preservation team at Briar Glen. What category? Detention without a stated code, disputed reporting, possible camera gap. I'm 20 minutes away. Seal the server, lockers, property room, and drafts. No interviews. Hale frowned. An outside team before our review? Dana faced him. That is why it is outside. Caleb pulled red tape across the server cabinet. He pressed the seal over the latch. Price watched him. You're enjoying this. Caleb turned. No. The word crossed the room. Evelyn called the rehabilitation center. Lillian's faint voice came through static. You missed the plaque. I know. Are you hurt? No. Did you keep your promise? Evelyn looked at Wesley's statement and the red tape. Not the one about arriving on time. That wasn't the important one. I'll come as soon as I can. Finish what made you late. Dana turned away as the call ended. Headlights washed across the windows. Mara Quinn entered with a hard case, her silver-streaked braid tucked into a charcoal coat. Who issued the first preservation order? I did, Evelyn said. Commissioner, I need you outside the chain from this point. Agreed. And every person separated. Hale stepped forward. This was a misunderstanding. Mara opened the case. Then the evidence will be kind to you. She removed numbered bags, gloves, and a portable drive. Caleb handed her the upload log. Evelyn returned the gold-sealed credential to her folder. If that seal had not been there, she said, the cuffs would still be on. Mara looked toward the holding room. Then we investigate the cuffs, not the title. Price's locker key went into a bag. Hale's notes were photographed. Lena exported the dispatch log, while Mara watched the bar reach 100%. Dana lifted the unfinished report. Obstruction, she read. Mara checked the dispatch screen. There is no obstruction call. Caleb pointed to the timestamp. The report was created 7 minutes after she was cuffed. The printer clicked. Hale stared at the page. That proves nothing. Mara sealed it. It proves where we begin. It proves where we begin. 3 weeks later, the hearing room smelled of dust, wood, and hot cables. Rain tapped the windows while a body camera image glowed across the wall. Evelyn at the desk, hands visible. Mara Quinn faced the panel. Officer Price, your report says Commissioner Cross blocked the counter. Show us when. Price studied the screen. The angle is limited. Use the lobby feed. The next image showed Evelyn already standing back. She kept challenging instructions, Price said. Challenge is not obstruction. Hale shifted. The situation moved quickly. Mara raised the dispatch log. No emergency call. No statutory code before the cuffs. Only the projector fan moved the silence. Caleb sat at the witness table. When did you first doubt the detention? Mara asked. Before the cuffs. What did you do? I asked what she had obstructed. Anything else? Caleb looked toward Evelyn. Samuel's stopped watch lay beside her folder. No. Why not? His thumb pressed into his knee. Hale corrected me twice. I thought one more challenge would end my probation. Mara waited. I protected my job before I protected the record. The projector clicked. Lena took his place, a headset line pressed into her hair. You heard the rehabilitation center's message? Yes. You knew Mr. Grant wanted a report? Yes. Why stay behind the glass? Price said he was handling it. He was refusing it. I know. When did you know? Before she was cuffed. Arthur approached last. He removed his work cap and twisted the brim. You recognized Commissioner Cross? Mara asked. Right away. Why didn't you speak sooner? I've worked there 16 years. 2 grandkids are in college. I told myself I needed to be certain. Were you uncertain? No. The word landed harder than the gavel. Evelyn's fingers moved over the cracked strap of her father's watch. The second hand remained caught between 6 and 7. Mara placed 4 old complaint files on the table. Sergeant Hale, each alleges detention after verbal disagreement. All were closed without witness interviews. They lacked evidence. One had lobby video. Inconclusive. One had a dispatcher note. Unverified. One had a rookie's written concern. Hale glanced at Caleb. Informal. Mara slid forward a 5th page. And this? Hale said nothing. Dana Mercer leaned toward her microphone. That complaint never reached my office. Hale's wedding band turned beneath his thumb. You signed the closure, Mara said. I protected the department from unsupported accusations. Evelyn spoke for the first time. You protected a pattern from being named. Every head turned. Commissioner, with respect. Do not use respect as a curtain. She lifted the stopped watch but did not put it on. Mara closed the file. The panel will recess before findings. As chairs scraped back, Arthur remained at the microphone. Commissioner Cross. Evelyn stopped. I knew who you were, he said. But Mr. Grant didn't need you to be anyone. She looked at the cap crushed in his hands. No, she said. He didn't. Behind them, the body camera frame stayed on the wall. Beneath its timestamp, the line for lawful cause was still blank. The blank line beneath lawful cause stayed on the screen as the hearing room emptied. By morning, local newsrooms had the clip. Residents recognized the desk and the phrase, talking back. By noon, Mara Quinn's office received 11 complaints. Dana found Evelyn in the records room. "How many?" Evelyn asked. 11. "How many mention verbal disagreement?" 9. 7 mention handcuffs. Dana placed one folder down. The paper smelled of hot toner. "A woman downstairs wants to speak on record." Denise Warren entered in a green grocery store apron beneath her coat. She was 37 and smoothed each page. "Last year, Officer Price stopped me outside my building," she said. "I asked why. He said my tone was aggressive." "What followed?" Mara asked. "They kept me overnight. The charge vanished in court, but I missed work." Denise flattened the statement's corner. "My manager replaced me." "Were witnesses interviewed?" "No. A neighbor recorded part of it." "Where is the video?" "I sent it with my complaint." Mara opened the old file. The evidence list contained no video. Only the ventilation fan moved. Denise looked at Evelyn. "Would they have found yours if you weren't important?" Evelyn placed Samuel's stopped watch beside the folder. "That is what this review must answer." More residents arrived that afternoon. A mechanic described being held after refusing a vehicle search. A hotel clerk brought a dismissal notice from a night spent in intake. Each report carried the same empty field, the phrase, "failure to comply," and Hale's signature. At 4, the certification board issued its notice. Price read it in Dana's office. "They're taking my badge?" "They're opening a revocation hearing," Dana said. "Because she embarrassed me?" "Because your report contradicts 3 recordings." "I followed Hale." Hale sat across from him. "Do not put this on me." "You told me to document refusal." "I told you to control the lobby." Evelyn stood by the rain-streaked window. "You are both describing choices as instructions," she said. "The record will separate them." Hale faced Dana. "After 23 years, I deserve better." Dana slid a reassignment order across the desk. "The public deserved review years ago." Hale read the first line twice. His wedding band stayed still. He was removed from command pending final findings. Price pushed back his chair. "What happens to her?" No one answered. "To the commissioner. She broke procedure 2. Evelyn lifted her folder. "Which procedure?" He opened his mouth, then looked at the blank section of his report. That evening, Dana accepted a formal reprimand. Denise sat in front with her dismissal notice folded in her lap. "I did not know," Dana said. Denise raised her hand. "You were supposed to know." The room held still. Dana lowered her notes. "Yes." Afterward, Mara laid 12 linked files before Evelyn. "This is no longer one detention." "It never was." "What should the recommendations say?" Evelyn looked through the glass toward the front desk, where a new officer explained a complaint form to Wesley Grant. "Not who should be fired," she said. "What must become impossible." Mara opened a clean page, and Evelyn began with the cameras. "Every detention triggers an automatic upload before the officer leaves," she said. "No supervisor override. No deletion window." Mara wrote while Dana stood across the table. Pale morning light crossed 12 complaint files. Dana nodded. "We can replace Hale and retrain the shift." "That is not reform. It removes the people responsible. It removes the names. The same discretion remains." The vent clicked on, carrying the smell of paper. Evelyn pushed forward a blank detention form. "Add a written legal basis before handcuffs are applied." "What if events move too fast?" Dana asked. Then the officer records the basis afterward, and the camera flags the delay. Mara circled the line. Verbal disagreement? Never listed as conduct by itself. By noon, Counsel Jonah Lee arrived, tapping a pen against his thumb. You want an external complaint portal, he said. That creates discovery obligations. It creates a record the department cannot bury. It also creates public exposure. Evelyn looked at the old files. That already exists. We are deciding whether the public can see it. Jonah stopped tapping. Dana exhaled. Build it. 3 days later, Caleb stood at the front desk wearing a test body camera. Lena watched the upload console behind the glass. Begin, Mara said. Caleb faced a volunteer. Sir, step away from the counter. Why? Because I said so. A red warning appeared on Lena's screen. State lawful objective, Lena called. Caleb reset. Please move 2 feet left so the emergency lane stays clear. The volunteer moved. No escalation flag, Lena said. Next came the cuffing protocol. Caleb opened the digital form. Basis? Mara asked. Threatening movement. What movement? He hesitated. The form would not advance. Caleb looked at Evelyn. It makes you explain yourself before acting. That is the point. Arthur cleaned nearby while Lena showed Wesley the new portal. So I don't ask the desk for permission? No, you receive a tracking number immediately. Arthur's mop stopped. Should have had that years ago. The first independent review began Monday. Cases based only on failure to comply, argumentative behavior, or disrespect were pulled for outside examination. Dana signed the order before the staff. Price's old chair remained empty. People will call this an overreaction, Jonah said. Evelyn folded the signed copy. Only people who never had to prove they deserved to be heard. At 4:40 p.m., Caleb mounted the final policy beside the intake desk. The transparent frame resisted, then snapped shut with a sharp click. Everyone heard it. Lena read the first line aloud. No person may be detained solely for questioning, disagreement, or tone. Caleb stepped back. Will this be enough? Evelyn studied the front doors reflected in the plastic. No rule is enough if witnesses stay quiet. Arthur lowered his eyes. Dana did not. Evelyn placed an envelope beneath the frame. Inside was the schedule for the rescheduled Samuel Reed Training Hall dedication. Lillian had circled the date in blue ink. This time, the clock beside the desk was already running 5 minutes fast. 3 months later, Lillian Reed arrived at the Samuel Reed Training Hall 10 minutes early. Caleb Morris held the door, while Lena Ortiz guided her wheelchair beneath the uncovered plaque. The new intake policy stood beside the entrance. You made them move the clock, Lillian said. Evelyn followed her gaze. The wall clock ran 5 minutes fast. Chief Mercer insisted. Then she learned something. Dana stood near the first row. Her reprimand remained in her file, and the city council had placed the department under 2 years of independent review. She kept her position after accepting responsibility and surrendering control of complaint investigations. Mara Quinn handed Evelyn the first quarterly report. Every detention now required a written legal basis, automatic camera upload, and outside audit number. 4 older cases had been dismissed. 2 residents had received settlements, and Denise Warren had begun work as a community liaison. No missing video, Mara said. No blank causes? 2 attempts, both rejected before booking. Nolan Price's authority remained suspended pending a certification hearing. He worked in warehouse dispatch while completing required training. Victor Hale had retired from command rather than accept reassignment, but the review board required his testimony in the remaining cases. Evelyn closed the report. "Will you mention them today?" Dana asked. "No, today is about my father." Arthur Bell waited beside the aisle, work cap folded between both hands. "I recognized you," he said. "I stayed quiet because I feared losing my job." "I remember." "I'm sorry." "So do something with it." Arthur had joined the civilian witness panel and now taught station employees to report misconduct without supervisor approval. Wesley Grant approached in the same rain-darkened cap, now brushed clean. His stolen card had been found in the boarding house office, and his medication replaced that night. He carried the halves of his old waiting ticket inside a clear sleeve. "Thought this belonged here." Evelyn placed it beneath the framed policy. "It does." The ceremony began without a podium. Caleb read Samuel Reed's name, then stepped back. Lena stood beside Denise near the rear doors. No one saluted. Lillian opened her handbag and held out Samuel's repaired watch. The strap was new, but scratches remained around the glass. The second hand moved beyond the place where it had stopped between 6 and 7. "He kept time for everyone else," Lillian said. "You keep it now." Evelyn fastened it beside her black wristwatch, wearing both for a moment. When Dana invited her to rename the hall for herself, Evelyn shook her head. "Leave his name." "You changed the system," Dana said. "I was only the person they finally listened to." Lillian touched her sleeve. "Say the rest." Evelyn faced the officers, residents, clerks, and witnesses. "A title should never be the price of dignity." That was all. After the guests left, Caleb returned to afternoon duty. A man at the intake desk questioned an instruction, and Caleb moved the complaint form closer instead of reaching for authority. "Start wherever you need," he said. Above him, the rule remained locked in its clear frame. Beneath it lay Wesley's repaired ticket, both torn edges visible. In the quiet hall, Samuel's watch completed another circle. Have you ever seen someone dismissed, detained, or treated differently simply because others assumed they had no influence? Share what happened in the comments, especially if one quiet witness or small decision changed the outcome. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on a title, uniform, job, or connection. Stories like Evelyn's matter because lasting justice is not only about exposing one bad decision, it is about changing the process that allowed it. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, accountability, and people who turn painful moments into systemic change. Your voice may help another person recognize the moment when staying silent is no longer the safest choice.